Are y'all ready? It's time. Woo! Welcome everybody to Moments with Mama Sue. Happy November, y'all. It's the first Monday in November. Can you believe it? Where has this year gone to? What happened to it? It has already zooped by, and we are already in the month of November. I'm Mama Sue Roseberry, and I'm so glad that you elected to join me today. Listen, go ahead right now and like and share this, because this is going to be a phenomenal broadcast. I've been excited and hyped all day. I didn't even need nobody to say, go Mama Sue, go, 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 go Mama Sue, because I was already telling myself to go, because I have a stellar award-winning broadcast journalist on the program today. And guess who's going to be asking the questions? Let me do the Blake Shelton. Me. I'm going to be asking the questions, so I'm so excited about that. And I'm glad that everybody is here. Shout out to Lori and May and Cadence, Frederick, all of you that are on. I don't want to start calling names because I may miss somebody, but especially if it's your very first time joining us for Moments with Mama Sue, please put that in the comment thread, because when I go back after this is over and read through, as I always do, because I don't want to miss anything, just nosy like that, I'm going to see all the first time visitors, and I will send you a little something from me to you, just to let you know how excited I am that you made a hole in your schedule to be able to be here to enjoy this. We've got some exceptional things coming up, and I want you to be a part of it. First of all, I want to give a shout out to all of the WJIL.today listeners who are seeing Moments with Mama Sue on Roku and Fire Stick TV and Gospel Radio on WJIL.today. That is phenomenal. I absolutely love that. And there are listeners and people all over the world, maybe in places that I will never go, who get an opportunity to see this. And I always say, God is up to something, and I'm so excited about those listeners. So thank you all for watching and making Moments with Mama Sue spread all over the globe. That's fantastic. And then I want everybody, now it's getting close to Christmas, So if you have not already gotten Miss Annie from way down south for the little people in your life, go ahead and order it today via my website at www.sueroseberry.com. It's a musical rhythmic storybook, and I promise you, your children will enjoy it. And when you order it, it comes with audio files of me singing the story, and then there's even an audio file version that you can download free with the book, where you can sing along and the children can sing along with the book. It's in English and in Spanish, and I would love for you to have it. Y'all help make my day by ordering that. And then the other product that I want you all to get for the holidays, be thinking Christmas, is Thoughts from the Heart. That is daily thoughts and inspirational quotes that God has given to me that I was able to put together in a perpetual calendar. So it has no year. It'll never go out of style. It'll be that gift that'll just keep on giving. You just keep flipping, and from one year to the next, it'll come back, and I believe it will bless you. We want you to have that. And then the other commercial that I want to tell you about is that you can download today, He's a Great God. That's the single that's out right now, and it's doing well. It's doing well, but you can make it do even better. So share it with everybody that you can on your download and streaming services. I tell you what, I just like telling everybody how great my God is, because He's big and grand and glorious like that. We're getting ready to have a phenomenal guest now, and so right after this, stay tuned, and I'm going to bring him to you. Advertise with us and let Mama Sue's family know what you've got going on. Email us at msroscbe2@gmail.com. Oh, yeah. I'd love to tell everything that you have going on, so let me know. You can hit me up and we'll advertise that. Today, I've told you that I have a phenomenal guest coming to us. His name is Cedric Bailey. He's a deacon. He is a man of God, a faith man, if you will, and he is known all over the globe because he is the phenomenal, stellar, award-winning broadcast journalist from Rejoice Musical Soul Food Network. He is a sports editor, and he has what is known as the Traffic Jam on Rejoice Musical Soul Food. He's from Ardmore, Oklahoma, bringing to the screen in Moments with Mama Sue the phenomenal Mr. Cedric Bailey.
Mama Sue, how you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you for being here.
I'm impressed with you.
Ah. Well, I try real hard. But listen, everybody's saying greetings. Y'all send those hearts, those emojis, all of those things up for Mr. Bailey. Cedric, tell us a little bit about your background. Tell us, you got pictures on the wall of your family.
Yeah.
Your origin. So tell us a little bit about how a little brown boy gets started in journalism.
Well, it's amazing you would ask that question. Growing up in Oklahoma, my roots are as a Native American, and most African Americans have some type of Indian territory, Indian heritage. My great grandfather was Cherokee, and my great grandmother was Chickasaw. And so, being here in Oklahoma, we have 5 civilized tribes. And we grew up here, went to school with one another, and just had a lot of fun. But as a kid, I remember watching on TV Max Robinson, and Max was a reporter on the ABC News. And I looked at him one day when I was like about 12 years old and said, that's what I want to be. And so I made a decision that I was going to be a radio broadcaster / TV announcer. Well, guess what? I was able to do that. When you did like this a while ago, and you said Blake Shelton, I went to school in Ada, and that's the headquarters for the Chickasaw Nation here in the state of Oklahoma. And we have a college. It's called East Central University, and that's where I went to school at. I learned how to be a radio broadcaster, and I went to this country station. It was called KADA, and they gave me this piece of paper, and I pulled it out, and I started reading it like I'm holding this right here. And the teacher says to me, I want you to read this and do a little weather report. So I go in there and I said, well, it's a beautiful day. And you're listening to KADA, Southern Oklahoma's country music leader. And we have music coming up from Ronnie Millsap and a whole lot more. So you keep it right here on Southern Oklahoma's country music leader. And when I did that, that teacher looked at me and says, wow, you have a special gift. And that encouraged me that wanted to learn how to be a broadcaster. So I went to school. I took up journalism. I learned how to do everything. And on May the 11th, 1985, I got my degree. And the first thing I did is I got in my car, drove straight to Dallas, Texas, and wanted to get on the radio at K104 during that time period. Tom Joyner was he did the morning show. And he did afternoons in Chicago and WGCI. But before he did Chicago, he was on K104, and that was the #1 station in Dallas. I used to listen to those stations and imitate their DJs, and I said that's what I want to do. Well, I kept going, but I remembered something that my mother told me. She said, you need to stop here in Ardmore and try to get on with the station. I looked at her like, are you serious? And I thought about it, and when your parents tell you to do something, you do it. You don't question it. So I took a tape, a resume over there. Back during that time period, we had cassettes. And that's what I gave them. I gave them a cassette, and I gave them my resume. We didn't have no computers in the 80s. That wasn't. Oh no, we couldn't have that. So you had to go in there with a nice resume, and I had to walk in there with a collared shirt and a tie, and I gave it to them. And it was the Waters family. And I didn't think too much about it. I went to Dallas, tried to get on at the station, and it just didn't happen. So I came back to Ada because I had enlisted in the United States Army, and I knew that I had an assignment that I had to do when I was going to Fort Gordon because I was a student corps officer down in Augusta, Georgia. But when I finished my time, I got a phone call from my roommate in college telling me, hey, said that radio station called and they want you to start being a radio announcer. I said, are you serious? And they said, yep. So I took the position and I became a radio announcer. And I was on the weekends. And the very first show I did was Rick D's Weekly Top 40 and Casey Cason's Top 40 Countdown. And all they gave me was 1 hour. And just to be on the air, my mom heard me, was exciting.
Wow. You know what? That is amazing. And now let's roll that back around to how God really orders our steps.
Yep.
Even though you had this desire from the time you were a child and you had looked at it and thought, this is what I'll be, but somehow or another, that fervent desire, the Lord orchestrated your steps every step of the way, and then you served in the military. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, that was an interesting story because this man by the name of Sergeant Major Isaac, yes, he's from Columbus. He had said something to me back in '83. He said, how would you like to get in shape in the summer and make about $600-700? Keep in mind, this was minimum wage was like $3.50 now in the 80s. And so getting $600 or $700 in the summer, that sounded pretty good. And then he grabbed my friend Joe Hennix, who was from a town called Earlsboro, Oklahoma. And I said, if you go, Joe, then I'll go. And so he said, okay. So we just said we're buds. It was just something stupid we made up. I know we on a plane on U.S. Air. A lot of people don't even know that was an airline back in the day. That was my first airline flight. Had a meal on the plane. Next thing I know, I'm in Fort Knox, Kentucky. And the rest is history. Next thing I know, we're wearing military fatigues or marching, and I got somebody yelling at me. And I looked at him, I said, I hate to say it, bud, but you're in the Army now. And I got fit. I was about 160 pounds, about 5'11" or so. I ran those 2 miles, did those push-ups and setups. I enjoyed it. We had fun. And then when I came back, they said, well, do you want to sign up? Well, what do we have to do? So I signed up and became a cadet in the ROTC. Joe and I had fun. Then we went to Fort. I went to Fort Raleigh camp. He went somewhere else, like the Fort Benning. And then on May 11th, on the same day I got my degree, we got our commission. And we became Army officers. And then I went to Fort Gordon and did that. So I did 4 years. I was a reservist officer. I did the Oklahoma National Guard and the Oklahoma U.S. Army Reservist. And I was a weekend warrior. I loved it. But I did just enough active days to make it as a veteran. And I qualified because I had it for 3 days. And so I'm so grateful. So every November the 11th, I'm always doing stuff. This weekend I'll be in Richmond, Virginia. We're going to do a salute to all those who have served. You know, and to be an officer, to be the first officer of my family was a great honor.
That brings us right around to saying to you and to all of the veterans that we thank you for your service, because being willing to go and make sure that we are safe on the shores of our country, that's a big deal to me, and we appreciate the service of all of our veterans. But now you kind of got that voice and that build, because I know that you could have been a drill sergeant yourself.
Yeah, that's true, but I didn't have to because they was working for me. I was their boss. It's kind of funny because, you know, here I am, 21 years old, 20 or 21, and they saying, yes, sir, and they salute me, and I had to salute them back. But on the other side, I had to report to the captain and the majors and the lieutenant colonels. So I had high people that was over me, and those captains were in charge of companies, and so I was over the platoons. And the first thing you do, you don't go in there and thinking that I'm smarter than you. You don't do that, because you can't do that with the people that's working for you. That's bad news. If you're sitting up there trying to pull rank like that, you're going to be in big trouble. You can't do nothing without it. So I got with my guys. I had a meeting with them, let them know, hey, listen, I'm just passing through to go to the next level. So let's work together. And guess what? It worked. But I'm going to tell you this, as an officer, it was kind of hard, you know, because we didn't have all the fun like the enlisted did. So being down in Fort Gordon, we knew where all the good places, the spots to go. But I couldn't really go in there because I was supposed to be over at the 01 Club, you know, with them. You know, so I was like, man, I was just shaking my head.
You was missing out on all the fun.
But I wasn't quite as saved then like I am now, so, you know.
Oh, boy.
I was riding from Fort Jackson in South Carolina down in Columbia, and then the next weekend I was going to Atlanta. So I was going back and forth up and down that interstate on the weekend.
Wow. Young. Did you have a lot of hair?
Yeah, I did. But keep in mind, they did have me cut it when I became an officer. I had to cut it. And when I enjoyed it and everything, but I had an afro. I just sent it to you.
I'd like to see that. Ladies and gentlemen, if you just tuned in with us, we are talking with the phenomenal Mr. Cedric Bailey of Rejoice Musical Soul Food, that traffic jam. We're going to hear more about that, how he got involved with Rejoice Musical Soul Food, right after this. Today's broadcast is brought to you by Miss Annie from way down south. She's loud, she's fun, but you'd better watch out. Put on your seatbelt and take the rollicking ride with the unpredictable Miss Annie as she whips and turns and drives straight into your heart. Own it today at www.sueroseberry.com. Yes, indeed. We are here for Moments with Mama Sue for the very first episode of November. You know, I only come on twice a month, the first and the third Monday of every month. I'd love it if you would share and like this broadcast with everybody that's in your sphere of influence, because tonight we are talking to the one and the only Stellar Award winning broadcast journalist, Mr. Cedric Bailey.
I just sent you my picture, so it's on your email. You're gonna run.
Oh, I'm gonna be looking for that. I wish I had it. I could get to it right now so I could show it because I it was cute. But look, tell us about how you got involved in Rejoice Musical Soul Food, because that is a humongous network, y'all. For everybody that doesn't know, that is the pinnacle, I believe, for Christian or gospel broadcasting. Talk about it.
Well, let's kind of talk a little bit about it because you got to think about gospel radio. Now we have what we call a 24-hour network. Here it is in 2022. But when I first started in radio, and I started in '85, I wasn't really concerned about gospel. As a matter of fact, I can only tell you three artists: James Cleveland and Shirley Caesar was probably, and then I knew about Mahalia Jackson, I knew about Aretha Franklin, but I didn't really know the music during that time period. So a young lady by the name of Luana Johnson, we called her Our Girl Sunday. When I got on board, it was a station called KHPN, Heaven 97 in Dallas. And so when I went to that K104 station and tried to get on, then somebody said, well, you might want to go over to the KDLZ station. And then they had the KHPN. I got thinking about it. I said, man, do I want to do that? But, a friend of mine said something to me, said, God can take you anywhere if you just trust him. And so I did. I met this lady by the name of Minnie Francis, and she was the host of the gospel on Sundays, and she was playing Take Six and Spread Love. And then she introduced me to Brother Joe Baggy. He was the legend during that time period for 40 plus years. I mean, it was like walking in that studio in an AM radio station that went off at dark. We didn't have 24-hour gospel during that time period. And so I went there, I got a job, and they told me, well, we're going to pay you about $7 an hour. I said, how am I going to take care of my family during that time period? Well, I was just getting married, and I looked up at that time period, and I took the job, but Brother Joe said something to me. He says, once you get on the air, people are going to be wanting to call and give you the opportunity to be on the air. And sure enough, the FM station called me, and then I was on the gospel station. So I did the gospel on Saturdays, or I did it on Saturdays and Sundays, and then I did the R&B on Saturdays too as well. So I would be in the church, and then I would be at the club. I had to, make remote appearances and everything like that. I did that, but I knew that I was going to have to make a decision, because it's just like you can't do both. You just couldn't do it. So I made a decision that I was going to go ahead and walk away from R&B. And I did, and I took the gospel. And some of my friends said, man, you crazy. You should have stayed with that. They're not going to pay over there. Well, I didn't think about it. I just went on about my business. I had a regular job. And then later on, the gospel started going 24 hours, and doors were opening. The station took off. We had Drew Dawson, we had Katrina, and Warren Brooks is the one who took me at KHN and gave me my own shift. And then Drew gave me the evening show. So I took that evening show and made that thing happen. We had choirs coming in here. And at that time period, we had the New Deliverance Gospel Choir. We had all the different community choirs. We had Say No to Drugs Ministry with Victor McCrae. We had the students from Carter High School. And everybody came through KHN. Miss Jill Kelly was one of the ones who had the students at ODY. And so we would go over there on, they have their choir, where the students wear their robes and everything. And then one day, I looked up, and a young guy was calling me every Sunday after church. And he was the minister of music of Mount Rose in Fort Worth, Texas. And that person was so great. He would always call me every Sunday. And we would just talk. We had the midnight musicals, and we talked about all those things. And his career took off. I mean, we had the recording of the DFW Mass Choir. It was like KHVN was the #1 gospel station. We were playing like Donnie McClurkin, New Jersey Mass Choir, and hosting different types of programs all over the city. My greatest moment came is when Brother Joe had me come over there with Jewel Kelly, and we had this choir and everything. That's when, you had big choirs and everything. And we were at the convention center in Fort Worth, and it was James Cleveland there that night. And that was in the late 80s when that happened. And the next day I know I'm this young 24-year-old young man. They called me the Oklahoma Kid, and Brother Joe calls me up and says, I want you to introduce Cleveland. And, I was looking around like, me? And I said, okay, I'll do it. And I introduced James Cleveland and brought him up on the stage at that time. I wish I had, a picture or something at that time. But it was like, just to play his music on the radio was incredible. But keep in mind, Mama Sue, when you on the radio, you just couldn't come on that AM station like we do now, flipping the switch and talk. You had to have scripture. You had to play the music. And 70% of the music of that time period was traditional. If we played any contemporary music, it might have been the Winans or Vanessa Bell Armstrong or Edwin Hawkins or Walter Hawkins. That was basically it. You might have played a Larnell Harris or something like that. But that was, that was it. Everything else, Mississippi Mass, Georgia Mass, Florida Mass. We was playing Reverend Clay Evans. It was like those songs were like 6 and 7 minutes long. So you had to come in there, you play the Florida Mass Choir, Be Ye Steadfast, Unmovable. You had to play like Jesus was sitting in the room with you. That's why I would tell all the young people, when you're there, you need to make sure you know the history of gospel. If you don't know it, pull out your cell phone and go to YouTube or go on Google and know the history of all these artists. And you need to know them. We was playing the Fly Vine Boy, Mighty Clouds of Joy. We had all these big musicals in Dallas at the Sportatorium where they had the Clark Sisters, Rance Allen. Everybody came to them. So later on in life, I started doing really, really good. And Brother Joe was kind of like on the decline, and he calls me in and he says, Cedric, I want you to be the one to take this thing to the next level. Well, as I was doing that, I ran into a lady by the name of Willie Mae McIver, and she had started in 1999 the Musical Soul Food Network. And at that time period, Mike Chandler came on board as one of our first stations. And so we had this network that was birthed in Dallas in the ABC Radio Network. And we were on top of the studio of where Tom Joyner was. Now, before we got to that new building on Montford, we started over in North Dallas off near the tollway. And that was, it wasn't ABC Radio Network at the time period. It was, I can't remember the name of the network, but we were there. And then they decided to put us in the big building. We were in there with all the formats. Next thing I know, Rejoice was just everywhere. And I've been there since there 22 years. And I've been on radio for 37 years. So it's just an incredible journey. And now I have a studio here in Oklahoma. And I'm everywhere. San Francisco, Cincinnati, Lansing, and everywhere because of technology of how we're able to do this. And that's how I made it to Musical Soul.
Ooh, boy, that is a storied career for sure. I had to come back in the screen so I could give you the face.
And you know what, Mama Sue? Here's the crazy thing during that time period. We were so good during that time period that when Bishop T.D. Jakes came down from West Virginia, we saw it was the Eagle's Nest Church. That's where it was, right there in that area. It was the Eagle's Nest Church. And we saw him come in, and he came by the studio. We talked to him. We used to have Grambling, Eddie Robinson come by the studio. We talked to him. We had all the big giants that came through there. And then, of course, technology changed, so they went on to the next level. The KHVN opened great doors. And then Musical Soul Food, we just start having all these festivals and concerts. And Mike Chandler took us to a whole another level. And so here we are in 2022,
Wow.
doing it big.
We miss KHBN for sure we do. But how many programs do you all have all over the country? Rejoice Musical Soul Food. You're on like how many different?
Well, we at one time we were at about 48 stations or so, and we did have that many. We were everywhere in South Florida, from Miami. We're still on in North Carolina, in Elizabeth City, in the Outlake, and in Chesapeake. But I think right now we're holding steady at about 30 stations.
Wow. Well, you know that the way to get it, guys, that's a wonderful segue for me to be able to talk about this because the way for you all to be able to get Rejoice Musical Soul Food is just really easy. You can go to your mobile devices, you can download it on your phones and your computers, and you can tune in and be able to hear because this gentleman right here, he keeps it fun, he keeps it upbeat, he keeps it lively. He is working the work. You hear me? So you can follow Cedric Bailey on Rejoice Musical Soul Food. You can listen in every day to the Traffic Jam Monday through Friday at 2 o'clock p.m. And then the link is there for musicalsoulfood.com. Just go there. You can put in Cedric Bailey and it will pop up and you can listen to the Traffic Jam. Cedric, tell us who thought of that name and why the Traffic Jam?
I got to give credit. I think Mike Chandler's wife April did that. She called me the traffic jam. That's what they came up because it was funny because when I first started at Musical Soul Food, Willie May had me on in the evenings at 7 o'clock, and then I had to fill in and do the afternoon show, and I did some mornings for Keith Solis, but the afternoon show is where I filled in, and the station started calling and said, "Hey, we like this guy," and so it was because the listener that they felt like I was able to take that station and make it sound like it was more local. So I was able to do that. So we have Mike on in the morning, and Tracy Morgan on in the middays. I come in the afternoons, have Jemima J. Then on the weekends, I produce On Stage with Earl Bynum. You've been able to be on there with Earl. So I produce the show. I produce Down Home Gospel with Melvin Williams. So I put those shows together. And then we also have Dorinda Clark Cole and Dottie Peoples. Praise House has a show on there too as well. So we got some great shows that's on the network, 24/7.
Ah, he's doing some big things, y'all. And I tell you what, when you listen to the show, you're going to hear a variety of gospel music. And you know, out here in West Texas, we don't have gospel music that is prevalent, but that is a station that you can listen to and hear a variety of personalities on the air, as well as all of the gospel music that is playing. And you'll hear something besides just XM, XM radio. I'm just telling you, just recommending it as a way to get to hear something else and kind of, expand our horizons. But that's not the only thing that he does, y'all. He also happens to be a phenomenal sports caster. So we're going to talk about that right after this. Yes, he is. And it's worthy. I'll glorify you. Yeah, all of my days. Yes, he's a great God. If you don't have it, you better get it so you can pop with me. And there is a video for that. So go to YouTube and start playing it today. Make it part of your daily routine. Put it in your exercise warm-up routine or while you're getting your steps in, because he is a great God. I'm talking today with the phenomenal Cedric Bailey of Rejoice Musical Soul Food, but he's got to tell us about sports because That's where he really, really shines, y'all. Cedric, talk about your being a sportscaster and how you really get it on. I love to hear him talk about sports, y'all.
Well, here's how that happened. I have a lot of friends that I have met because I got this position um, as a writer, and I write for a newspaper called the Black Voice, which is the Levita News. They've been around for 60 years, and they're based out of Fort Worth, Texas. So what I wanted to do was tell these different stories. I'm not a great writer, however, because of technology, I can take a computer and tell a story. And that's what I do. I take the pictures. I was able to reach out to different outlets, and I started doing high school football in Fort Worth. I did the Dunbar Wildcats. I did the ODY Chaparrals and Sam Houston High School in Arlington. So then I started thinking, okay, I need to try to do basketball. I started doing high school basketball in Fort Worth. Then I said I need to do NBA basketball. But because I worked at KGN, I was able to contact the Dallas Mavericks and ask them, do you have anybody in there representing the gospel industry? Because you got Christians that love sport. They said no. I said, can I have a Christian night? They said yes. They gave me the sorriest game. I took it. I said, give me some tickets. And what happened was I was with the headband man driving around town for KHVN. So I started giving away tickets. And we had an audition for somebody to sing the national anthem. That person was Gay Arbo. So they gave me a game, and it was at Reunion Arena. And I took that, and we had our own section of KHVN listeners to go there to watch the game. Then I got a game pass, and then I started finding myself in there with Don Nelson, and then seeing Avery Johnson and seeing all these basketball players. I said, oh, I can do this. Then I reached out to the Rangers, called them, and I got a season credential for that. And the next thing I know, I'm sitting up there talking to Greg Popovich with the San Antonio Spurs, and they were in town, and I looked at Pop, and you can go on YouTube and see this. I say, hey man, you know you're gonna win the NBA championship. He stops, turned around, and said, now who are you, and what made you say that? I froze because everybody was looking at me, and I said, well, I want you to know you are going to win the championship. And that's how you get people's attention. Craig Sager from TNT was right there. We was there with Patty Mills. We was with all those guys. And do you know what happened that year in June? I was at the NBA Finals. And then that was the night that LeBron, who played for the Miami Heat, they played the Spurs. If you've been to San Antonio, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know they love their Spurs. That's all you hear is go Spurs, go. So me and Charles Boyd went to the game, hung out, we had a lot of fun, and we was there, and the Spurs won the championship. So I was sitting on the front row. Now, you know, when you talk to Popovich, you better make sure you got your stuff together. Because if you don't, he going to give you the stare. And all of a sudden, I said, well, Coach, I want to say congratulations. I want to ask you how Kawhi Leonard was able to do this or whatever. Do you know he answered my question? And when he did that, everybody saw me on TV. My phone was going crazy. And then they came back to me another question, and I said something about Patty Mills or something like Ginobili. I said something about Ginobili. And once again, Pops answered my question. And so,
that was my boy, Mano Ginobili.
So that opened the doors. I was hanging out with Avery Johnson. I was talking to Mark Jackson. And I was there when Golden State was playing. I also got a chance to cover the Cowboys. Now, I'm going to tell y'all this story right now that I've been holding on. And I'm going to break it with moments when Mama said.
Yay! Come on with it.
Back in the day, when the Dallas Cowboys were in Irving, Texas, I remember the players getting baptized at that time period at the Potter's House. It was Michael Irvin, it was Emmitt Smith, and it was Deion Sanders. So they gave us a time period, and Bill Parcells was the coach of the Dallas Cowboys during that time period. Now, if all the media that's hard to work with is the Dallas Cowboys. So there were two things that happened. I'll never forget that day. At that time period, Tony Romo was the backup quarterback for the Cowboys. It was Drew Brees that was starting. And so Tony's locker was right here. So when we trying to get next to Drew Brees, I said, hey man, what's up? How you doing? And all that stuff. And I talked to him and all that stuff. And then I said, can I pray with you? He said, sure. And I said a prayer with him. And my friend Curtis Wilbert was right there during that time period. He said, man, how'd you do that? I said, I had faith by God. And sure enough, Tony Romo became a very successful quarterback. Those are the conversations we don't get a chance to hear about because that's not our job to go in there. Like I said, I was doing my inspirational part. But here's the part with Dion that was the greatest thing. He saw me, and I had a Carter's House T-shirt on, and he gave me a hug, and he said, man, hey, thanks for being here to cover us. I said, hey, you're going to do well, Brian. So, good luck with your career. And that night on Monday Night Football, they beat the Giants, and he ran that thing all the way back. And look at him now, what he's doing with these young people. And that was back in in 2000 or something, or maybe like 99 or something like that. Matter of fact, that was the year that Prime was playing football for the Cowboys and playing baseball for the Atlanta Braves. So being in the sports world has been incredible. And today I do a sports show. It's called Sports in the Mix, and it's on the BGC Sports Network, which stands for the Big Game Christian Sports Network. And we say BGC because God cared. And I wanted to have a sports network, so I have 12 different guys that we have opened the door to allow them to have a sports show. And that's what we do. And now I serve as the announcer for, of course, the Murray State College Aggies. So Murray State is in Tishomingo, and now you can go online now and you can hear me calling the games and talking to the kids and encouraging them and doing things like that. So I'm grateful for this 38-year career that started off in Oklahoma and going all the way around the world and doing what I love the most. And that's most of all, doing sports, but doing it with fun and having fun. And that's what I like doing. And then also I can share those stories at our church in Tatum's, Oklahoma. We have 13 black towns here in Oklahoma. And at Tatum's, at Bethel, I get a chance to talk for 30 minutes and encourage people and tell them how to trust God. Because I've been, and that's all I can say.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow. I love hearing those stories because, they have even gone on to add some other things for athletes who have faith backgrounds, like a concert as part of the championship games for football and for basketball, different things of that nature. But you know what I need? I'm only 1 degree of separation. Next time you getting somebody to sing the anthem, let it be me. I would love to sing the anthem at a Mavericks game.
Yeah, but they do stuff like that. But but let me just tell you this: there are other teams like Chicago and different ones. They have. I tell you who's pretty good at doing that. And that's Oklahoma City Thunder. That would be one that I could put your name in on there. Okay.
I'd love to do that. I'd make the trip just to get to be there because I love the NBA that well. Now, Cedric, we got to get down to it now. I know you're a sportscaster. You got to be impartial. But who is your pick NFL football team? Who is it?
Golly, that's a tough one. On the AFC, I have to go with two teams. Now, I am a Raiders fan. But right now, my Raiders is making me sick right now. We got to change our quarterback. I'm just going to tell you that. We shouldn't have never let Marcus Mariota go. Y'all can hit me up, Freddie B. DJ, on Twitter or on my Facebook page if you got something to say. I don't care. I want to hear it. But I'm going to tell you, asked the question. In the AFC side, I see it going down to definitely, of course, the Kansas City Chiefs and the Buffalo Bills. Without a doubt. Those are, to me, are the two best teams in the league.
And it may be the Bills.
Yeah, it might be the Bills. But the Bills lost yesterday to the Jets. The Jets have been a big surprise. But I'm looking at my picks here because I talk with the fellas. I got all my notes here, So now I have to I hate saying this, but on the NFC side, there's some surprise teams. Seattle is surprising me for one, and then
Yes.
I gotta put the Cowboys in there too as well. But without a doubt, if I had to pick the matchup between the Super Bowl teams, I'm going with the Philadelphia Eagles, and I would say more than likely they'll probably play Kansas City. That's how I feel it's going to
Wow.
be. Yeah,
Well, we're gonna write that down and we're gonna see if that comes true.
yeah,
If our guy with his eye on sports comes through with the Philadelphia Eagles and the Kansas City Chiefs. We gonna see.
yeah. That's what I'm going to go with. Yeah, I'm
Okay,
having
well
a
that,
lot of trouble because I was going with the Raiders because I thought Devontae Adams was going to do it, but their cars, man, dude, you got to go somewhere. Give the money back, walk away, man. You're just embarrassing.
well, it's hard to say Cowboys because they disappoint us year after year. They'll get there, but it just be like we just don't want to go to the
Well, let
to
me,
the
let me just
big.
say this something about that. At one time, I was a Cowboy. And the reason why I was one was because Jimmy Johnson. He was the greatest coach of all time. He had Oklahoma ties from Oklahoma State. He had to leave and go to Miami and take the Hurricanes, and did a phenomenal job with those guys. But after Jerry opened his mouth and did what he did. Now, Jerry's a good guy. I will never say nothing negative about Jerry because I've seen Jerry do some great things behind the scenes, being there at the Cowboy games. I mean, it's so. I think one day, the day I couldn't hardly walk, they sent a cart for me and had me go up there. So I can't talk about it. But if he just let the people run the team and do what he got to do, they'll be all right. But Miss Sue, I'm gonna just go ahead and stick to what I said. Eagles versus the Kansas City Chiefs. That's my prediction.
That's gonna be Super Bowl coming up.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. I'm gonna mark that down. We're gonna see if that comes out. And then how about our NBA teams? Now you gotta have a favorite and a dog in the race. Who is it for NBA teams?
Well, I am a Dallas Maverick fan. And I was there last year when we beat the Phoenix Suns. But it's way too early right now to try to predict who's going to make that. Because, like in baseball, we saw the Houston Astros. They played against the Philadelphia Phillies. The Phillies barely got in. And the reason why in baseball they got in, everybody thought it was going to be the Yankees. They thought it was going to be the Dodgers.
Mm-hmm.
But it's how you close out heading into October, and they did it. But God knew who was going to win. And he knew that Houston was going to win it. Why? Because at the beginning, the Philadelphia Phillies were supposed to hire Dusty Baker to be their manager. But guess what? They changed their mind and went with another guy. And then his Dusty came home. He talked to his son. He said, well, maybe God's got something else for you. And so about the next day, the phone rings, and it's Houston. And he comes down there, and you just saw that team came together and get it done. It took him 25 years to get there, but he never gave up. He was so close when he was with the San Francisco Giants. He played for the Braves. He played for the Dodgers, but he got there, and all you saw was that toothpick. He was steady working that toothpick, but he got that done. And I'm so happy for him for what he done. Now, you asked me about the NBA. Well, the show ain't gonna be the Lakers. I'm gonna tell you that right now. I'm gonna tell you right now. I like Giannis, and I like the Milwaukee Bucks. I like that team, and I do believe in the Dallas Mavericks for the West. But right now, I believe the road again goes through the Golden State Warriors because they have a phenomenal team, and one of the reasons why they do is because of the faith of Stephen Curry. That young man right there is very anointed. He's just, you have to really know his story for what he's all about. So I'm just going to go with my top teams in the NBA. I got to go with the Bucks, and I got to go with the Golden State Warriors. That's just who I'm going to go with.
All right. Y'all heard it here. On Moments with Mama Sue, the Bucks and the Warriors, and the Eagles and the Chiefs.
You got it.
This Excuse me, I'm choking for some reason. This has been phenomenal. Thank you, Cedric, for joining us. You got any parting remarks you want to share with the listeners?
Yeah, two things. Number one, I want to commend you on what you're doing. You are doing a phenomenal job. Earlier today, I got a phone call from my friend Ladora Frank, and she invited you to be a part of something special for her, and it was just off the chain. So I just want to encourage you for what you're doing because, see, we live in a world now that technology, because of the internet and the computers, you can now create your own podcast. You can do this, what you're doing, Moments with Mama Sue. So you go for it. And to everybody else who have big dreams and goals and desires, whatever you do, if you have something that you feel like that God has led you, then you make sure you follow your dreams. But make sure you put God in the midst of it. I have been blessed. I'm going to go a few more years, and then one day I'm going to walk away. But when I walk away, I'm going to make sure that I bring somebody up with me. And I got about 2 or 3 people right now that I've been working with to help them get to the next level. Just like Brother Joe took me to the next level. He told me, when you get there, don't forget about the people who came before you. Never forget where you came from.
Ah, that's great advice. Cedric, thank you for being here and for taking the time out to talk to me. He interviewed me on his show the other day, so you can go to internet to his YouTube channel and see that particular interview. It was very good. I was so honored to have that opportunity. And for everybody that's tuning in, we thank you so much for being here. Thank you for watching Moments with Mama Sue and all the things that you do. Please follow me.
You know what I want to tell you this?
Yeah.
When you come to Oklahoma, my sport that I do, I forgot to tell you this, is I'm a bowler. So I need you to come hang out with me when I go bowling. That's what I do now, bowl.
Ooh, all right. Now he's bowling. So I kind of bowl myself. So if I come, I'm going to cut my nails so that I can get a good grip in the ball, and I'm going to, I'm going to do what I do.
But let me tell you about that. And I want you to come. But now I bowl in 2 leagues. I bowl with the seniors, and I bowl with a group of other people. Now, keep in mind, these people are out in the world. But when they see me, you know what we do? We give each other a high five, and we talk about God. And I'm also able to minister to them. And if some of them, they know that we're in the same arena together, then I got to give them a hug, and we're out there for fun. But I'm able to witness the gospel of Jesus Christ with them same people. And these are some people be saying some crazy words out there. Some of them may be looking at me because they kind of get frustrated. And they'll say to me, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do that. That's the greatest. You got to be like Jesus. You got to go in a place where you think you're going to be and be able to share the news of the gospel and let your light shine, Mama Stu. And that's what I do. It's that bowling. Having fun with it.
That's what he's called us to do.
Yeah.
That's what he's called us to do. And you just keep going and going and growing and glowing. I'm so proud that you're out there representing us so well. And we have excellence. Someone asked, are you on in Atlanta? Do you all have a program in Atlanta?
Well, we do have a station there. It comes on, it's an AM station that's there in Atlanta. I'm trying to remember the call letters of that station. But they do have one, but they don't carry us on there. So the best thing to do is take your Fire Stick. If you got Alexa and Fire Stick, just say, Alexa, enable music to Soul Food Radio, and you can listen to it. Another part of Georgia we're on is we're on an Augusta and an FM station there. So if you go to the website at musicalsoulfood.com, but that station in Atlanta, they do different things there. I think they got Chubb Rock. He's on the air in the afternoons there. So hopefully we can get on in Atlanta one day. But right now, it's they carry just a little bit of our programming there.
That's amazing. Well, Cedric, hang with me for a second. I'm going to wrap, and then I want to come back to you to find out something before I let you go out the studio. But let me tell everybody, it's wonderful having you here. I'm so glad that you joined me. I'm so glad that everything worked out remote, because I was trying to do this from my hotel room, but it worked out okay today. Thanks be to the good Lord and technology. If you like what I'm doing, please support me by following me on social media. And also, those of you that desire to send support, you can do that. You can support me via Cash App at $Sue Roseberry. I will take what you're sending me and turn it into ministry. And then the other thing you can do, if you don't like Cash App, that's not your thing, well, I have Venmo just for you at Sue-Roseberry-1. And if neither one of those things give you a warm fuzzy, then by all means do what I do. Snail mail. Just put a check in the mail to P.O. Box 51422, Midland, Texas 79710. And please, please, ma'am, and please, sir, keep praying for us, sister. I love you so much, and I appreciate all that you do for me. We'll see you next time. Woo! Now that's what I call a great show. Woo! We out of here. Mums and mamas, mums and mamas, moments. Now we can do it a little better than that. Mums and mamas, mums and mamas, moments. Well, all right, come on with it. Mums and mamas, mums and mamas, moments. Yeah. Mums and mamas, mums and mamas, moments. Wait. Mums and mamas, mums and mamas, moments. Mums and mamas, never know what to expect. Mums and mamas, moments. Moments, yeah. Can't you? Well, now we might be done a little bit too much. Sing it.